Hello, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 5-star books that I've read so far this year. I know we're a little bit over halfway through the year, but I still wanted to talk about the books that I've loved so far that I've given 5 stars to. Before I do that, I wanted to tell a little bit about the books that I've read this year. So far, I've read 20 books. So I'm honestly a little bit behind schedule because I wanted to read 40 books this year and we're in August. Hopefully I can catch up though. I'm like 2 or 3 books behind schedule. I've read 2 books that are 4 stars, 6 books that I rated 4.5 stars, and then 12 books that I rated 5 stars. I am going to be talking about 12 books today, but one of those is a series, so I'm going to kind of be talking about all of them together. And then my most read genre so far this year is historical. And that could be historical fiction, historical romance, things like that. The first book that I have that is a 5-star read to me is These Old Shades by Georgette. If you watched one of my recent vlogs, you saw me reading this, and this possibly might be my favorite Georgette book that I've read. If not, it's high up there because this one was so funny. I love Georgette writing. It feels like you're reading a Jane Austen book, even though technically, I think she wrote her books, or a lot of them, in the 30s, but they are Regency romance books. In this one, we're following the Duke of Avon, and at the very beginning of the book, a young man named Leon runs into him. Leon is running away from his brother, who is kind of not the best to him, maybe a little abusive. The Duke, on a whim, all of a sudden decides he's going to buy Leon from his brother and make him his page. What happens throughout this book, there's so much that happens that I don't want to ruin the surprises for you, so I'm not going to tell you much more than that, except there is a love story in this. It's just a really thrilling adventure almost. You're going to meet a lot of characters that you love, characters that come together that aren't friends at first, kind of unlikely friends. By the end of the book, you won't want it to end. In this book, I just laughed so much, and things kept happening that I was just shocked about. It really is like an adventure romance book, and honestly, did I love it for the romance? Not really, but I loved it for how different it was, how funny it was, and how many crazy things were going on in it. The next books I'm going to talk about are actually 4 books, and that is the first 4 books of the Emma M. Lyon series. I started this series, I think it was in January, and read like a book a month in the series. I haven't read one in a few months. I've taken a break, but I really need to read the next one because they're fantastic. I think there's 8 out right now. I really don't have many more to read. I'm sad for the day that I catch up and I don't have any more to read, but I do think that she's still writing them, so that makes me happy. This story takes place in the 1800s, maybe the late 1800s. I can't remember exactly. We're reading her journals about what's going on in her life. She's recently, in the first book, moved in with her uncle by marriage because she's inherited this house, but she's kind of inherited him with it because he still lives there. He's kind of a terrible person. I don't know a good word to describe him. Very dramatic and over the top and crazy almost. So she doesn't have a great time with him. We're kind of just hearing about her life as she's moved back there. She takes care of herself because her parents are dead. She has found out that she does not have a lot of money left. She's trying to work that out. It's just kind of her day-to-day life, which sounds like it could be boring, but it's not boring at all. I love Emma. She has the best personality and she's funny, so entertaining to read in her journals. And the other characters in these books are really great too and very interesting. These journals are so tiny too, maybe just a little bit over 100 pages, so you can read them in one day. Just the coziest time. They're some of my favorite books ever, so if you haven't read them yet, I highly recommend them, and I really don't think that you'll be disappointed in them. The next book I have that I rated 5 stars is The Frozen River by Ariel Lawan. I read this book earlier this year at the perfect time because I remember as I was reading it, it was snowing outside. It was so cold. But this is a historical fiction novel set in 1789. In this book, Martha is a midwife in town. Since she's, I guess, a medical professional, she's also called in to check on other things too. They find the body of a man in the river. She gets called in to look at the body and see maybe what has happened. What happens after that is just a court case of many different things. There is an assault that has happened that's connected to this, and Martha gets pulled in to this big court case of multiple crimes just because of the man that was found in this river. This is a sad book but it was so gripping and I couldn't put it down. I didn't want to stop reading it. I loved Martha. I loved her relationship with her husband. I loved reading about that. She keeps journals of every medical case that she is involved in. These journals are also going to be used in court. This is also a true story. I also loved that about it, and the author's note where she kind of explains what really happened and things that she kind of added into the story. Martha, it was just such a strong, amazing woman to read about, and if you want a really good historical fiction that is gonna make you not want to put it down, I would definitely suggest this one. The next book I have that I rated 5 stars is another historical fiction book, and that's When the Day Comes. This one also has, I guess, a little bit of, I don't know if it would be called magical realism or fantasy, but the main girl in this book, I cannot remember what her name is. She is a time hopper, I think is what they're called, which means she basically lives in 2 time periods. One day she wakes up, she's in, I think it was the 1700s. I should have looked this up, but one day she wakes up, she's at the time of the American Revolution, and then the next day she wakes up, she's in the 40s. Every day, like, she's trading back and forth times. If you're a time hopper, when you turn a certain age, you have to choose which time that you want to stay in for the rest of your life. So that, I mean, I can't even imagine having to choose that. So that is a really hard decision to have to make, especially with different things that happen throughout this book to make it harder on her. I loved the historical part of this book in both time periods, honestly. It was so interesting to read about. I also loved just the whole other element of it where she is in 2 different time periods. That, I feel like that really, I guess, raised the stakes of the book. Again, that would be such a hard choice to make. This is actually a series. I haven't read the second book yet, but I really cannot wait to, because I am excited to see throughout the whole series, like, the different timelines that I'm going to be reading about. This one I put off for so long, and I don't know why I did, because it was so great and I've heard so many good things about it. If you've been thinking about reading this one, I would definitely try it. I'm pretty sure it's on Kindle Unlimited. I think that's where I read it, so it was definitely 5 stars. The next book I have is my only middle grade on this list, and that is Cold-Blooded Myrtle. This is the 3rd book in the Myrtle Hardcastle series. This is a historical mystery middle grade series, and I absolutely love it. All 3 books that I've read have been great. I love Myrtle. She's such a fun character to follow, and her governess are the ones that are trying to solve these mysteries. In this specific book, it takes place at Christmas time, and Myrtle is trying to catch a serial killer, which these books, like I said, they're middle grade, so they're not scary at all. I would not usually be able to read about a serial killer. These books are very cozy. Again, I love the historical aspect of them. I'm pretty sure they take place in the 1800s, and I think I still have a couple of books in this series to read, and I cannot wait to read the next one. This book I also read on Kindle Unlimited, so if you want to try this series, you could try it on Kindle Unlimited. I know it's middle grade, and some people don't want to read a middle grade book, but if you like cozy mysteries, I would still give it a chance because it doesn't feel too childish or anything like that. The next book I have is Miss Buncle's Book by D.E. Stevenson. This is another series. I keep starting series, I guess, but this is another series that I started this year. This book takes place in the 30s. Miss Buncle has just written a book, but she can only write about what she knows, so she writes about the whole town. She's only written a book because she's running out of money and she needs to make some. So she thinks, I could probably write a book, and she does, and it becomes a bestseller. But everybody in the town is pretty mad about it because they realize it's about them. A lot of funny things, of course, are going to happen in this book. Some of the people in this town are pretty ridiculous, and adding on top of that, that they're so upset that they read about themselves in this book, some hilarious things happen. This book was so cozy and a really fun time. I loved getting to read about the people in this town, and it was just so hilarious. I'm excited to read more of this series and also more of D.E. Stevenson's books because I think she has a lot of books, and whenever I'm wanting another cozy fun book to read, I definitely want to pick up another one of hers. The next book I have that I rated 5 stars this year is a YA fantasy book called 1,000 Heartbeats. This is by the same author who wrote the Selection series. I've not read the Selection series, so if you have, let me know if you loved it or not, because I'm really curious about it now. But I read this book. I'm pretty sure it's a standalone. Annika is a princess. She's about to be married off for their kingdom, which of course she doesn't want, so she runs away. And then on the other perspective, we have Lennox, who is a part of, I wouldn't say a kingdom, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but he's a part of a group of people who are wanting to take over Annika's kingdom. They believe they have the right to that kingdom because of their history. Annika and Lennox meet each other and they are enemies at first, but this is a love story. Sometimes I really love reading about princesses and princes and that time period in fantasy, so this one was perfect for that. I loved the love story in it. I'm not a big YA person, but this one was really great. If you've been curious about it, I would try it because I really did love it. The last two books I have are mystery books. The first one is The Key to Deceit by Ashley Weaver. I read this very recently. I think it was actually in my last vlog. This is the second book in the Electra McDonald series, which is kind of like a World War II mystery series. At the beginning of the series, we meet Ellie, and she and her uncle are in the business of picking locks and opening safes. They're thieves. And at the very beginning of the first book, they get caught by Major Ramsey, who is a major in the army during World War II, and he enlists their help with different crimes. The first book had a specific crime, and then this second book, we're following them as he needs help with another crime. There's a little bit of romance in these books, but not much at all yet. I'm thinking that as I continue with the series, that will be more and more. Ellie and Major Ramsey are not really enemies, but they have a very interesting dynamic as they're working together to solve these crimes, and a lot of tension. I've really loved that series so far. And then the last book I have is also by Ashley Weaver, and that's Murder at the Brightwell. This is a whole different mystery series that she has. It was her first mystery series. In this one, it takes place in the 30s. Amory, at the beginning of the book, is going to a hotel called the Brightwell to help her ex-fiance convince his sister not to marry this man that she's wanting to marry. While they're there, they're with a group of people that are his friends. Someone gets murdered, so Amory decides that she needs to figure out why this person got murdered, who murdered them. Amory's husband ends up showing up at this hotel, and they kind of end up working together. He's not the best person, but we kind of see them in their relationship maybe start to get mended in this book. I loved Amory. I loved the whole mystery, honestly, because it kept me on the edge of my seat. I could not figure out what was going on and who was the murderer. People were getting eliminated as the murderer throughout the book, which made it even more like, what the heck is going on? I really thought the mystery in this was so great. This is also a series, so I'm excited to continue with it and see what else Amory is going to get into, because she's not a detective or anything like that. So I'm curious how she's going to keep getting involved in these murders or crimes. Those are all the books that I've rated 5 stars this year so far. If we have any of the same books that you have also rated 5 stars, let me know. Or if you have a recommendation for me that you think based on these books I would also love, let me know that also, because I'm always needing to add more books to my TBR. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching and being here, and I'll see you next time.